let's talk about how to use Turingscraft in this class. Turingscraft is a commercial website. It has interactive exercises to practice programming. It checks the correctness of your answer by testing multiple cases. Now, this turns out to be really important because it doesn't check to see that you did the problem the way they expected you to do the problem. Instead, it actually checks and sees whether your answer is correct or not. This makes a world of difference in doing programming. The other thing it does is it offers feedback and help. Now remember that an automated site like this is not going to be able to provide the same quality of help that a person would be able to provide. It's just not that intelligent. But it is a good place to start, and often it can get you unstuck if you're having difficulty. The advantages of Turingscraft are that you only need to enter a few lines of code, sometimes even just a character or two. So this is different than some of the other sites we'll use where you have to enter whole methods or big chunks of code. So this is a big advantage of Turingscraft and one of the reasons that it's worth paying money for it. It also gives you instantaneous feedback, and that helps because it's a lot easier to learn that way. You can work problems as many times as desired. In fact, you'll probably need to work some problems many times. I can tell how many times you've worked a problem, but I don't take it into grading consideration at all. So don't worry about it. Just relax. Do your best. I can also see your latest submission. However, I can't see all of your submissions. So if you're going to ask me for help, make sure you leave the one that you think is the best solution behind so that I can take a look at it if you email it to me. I only look at solutions in general if you ask me for help. I don't just go pawing around the site randomly looking at what people have been doing. To sign up, we're going to go to Turingscraft.com, click Register, choose Student, enter our access code, and choose a university. Here we are at the Turingscraft website. I've cut the access code from the PowerPoint presentation, so I'll be able to paste it in when we get there. You may want to do the same. So we're going to register, and you want to check that you're a student in a course that uses CodeLab. It's very important that you get that button checked correctly, because if you don't, I won't be able to see your solutions and I won't be able to see what work you've done. That means you won't get credit for it. So now, click Continue. Here's where we enter our section access code. We're going to choose the university. This is the University of Oklahoma. And continue. And from here on, you enter personally identifiable information. I'm not going to step you through this because I know you all can do this on your own. When you get to this point, you'll be able to pay using either a credit card or a personal check. If you're using a personal check, you enter the check number, you mail the check to Turingscraft. They'll trust you for a couple of weeks. Now, if your check doesn't arrive sooner or later, they will eventually cut off your access. So please make sure you do send them a check when you're supposed to. To perform the exercises, you're going to log in at Turingscraft.com, not register, load the course, and we're going to select an exercise to work on. So here we go. We're back at the Turingscraft website. Now this time I'm going to log in. They use the email address you gave them. This is me, of course. And you'll enter a password that you picked during the registration process. And then I'll load this course. Now you'll notice that I've got quite a few courses here. That's because I've been using this software for a long time. You'll only have one. The warm-up exercises are over here. Let's go and take a look at this one. Now, this one has unusually long instructions, and that's very atypical for a Turingscraft exercise. Mostly what they're trying to do is to give you enough information so you can do the exercise successfully. So, they're asking you to write an arithmetic expression that calculates the average of 18 and 46. And then they point out a bunch of things that you probably know from algebra. That is that the average of two numbers is their sum divided by 2, that you use a slash for division, and that parentheses are used to hold different parts of arithmetic together. Now, in this particular problem, they actually even tell you what the right solution is. That is, open parenthesis, 18 plus 46, close parenthesis, divide by 2. and then they ask you to try it. So let's move down and try it. Here's the expression, and we're going to click Submit. And you see that it takes us to the Result tab, and it says the code lab analysis says that it's correct, and then it gives us a little encouraging message. It also puts your submission there. Now let's go back and see what happens if we don't do it right. Let's say we divide by 3 instead of dividing by 2. Well, when we submit, now we get this red flag. It says you don't seem to have entered the correct expression. Correct solutions that use 3 tend to use minus. Now that might not make sense or seem very helpful, but what they're trying to say is, well, we really were expecting 2, and the only way to get to 2 from 3 is to subtract 1. And it says you're using an incorrect number somewhere in your solution. So they give you some hints. That's really all there is to using Turingscraft. Now the next thing we need to do is to understand some symbols on the website. A clear box means you haven't attempted the problem. A green box, you may have noticed, appears when the problem is completed successfully. A yellow box means the problem is completed successfully, but it was after the deadline. I don't accept work that's done after the deadline, so you want to avoid those yellow boxes. A red box means your answer is incorrect and still needs additional work. Every now and then, and by that I mean I maybe see it once a year, you're going to see a black box. What that means is that the problem is out of service. Like all software, these problems sometimes break, and when they do, they take the problem out of service until they can repair it. Don't worry, I won't take off any points on those questions. As far as grading Turingscraft, the section names correspond to the names in Janux for the daily sections, and each section has a due date. I do change them during the semester sometimes, and if I change the due date, Turingscraft recalculates whether your work was late or not. Generally, they're due 2 days after the material is assigned. The exception is things that are assigned on Friday are actually due on Monday, so I give you an extra day there. And each problem is worth 1 point. Now that's actually a pretty good deal because Turingscraft has a lot of problems at the beginning of the semester when things are easier. Later in the semester, the problems do get harder. But of course, later in the semester, we also have fewer assignments and more assignments that are not in Turingscraft. So it all works out okay. So keep programming.